Part 7. It was, and the salt flats and the glow sticks and the theme camps were there around her. Lilith Fur Camp that's right around the corner, in a wisp of overheard conversation biking by. Gravel Pit Camp, all of Wu-Tang is there. She hit her jewel in aromatherapy setting, a blend of essential oils. She took a drink of Nalgene water and fell asleep in her wagon. Only for a minute, but full of dreams. Those close dreams that verge on unreal, like the ones she always had at the tail end of her nearly sleepless insomnia nights, where she left her body directly, always had to climb or float out of her window into the dream world. How hard she had to fight sometimes to make it out. Close dreams like that in the wagon now, of the festy around her but slightly warped. The glow sticks full of crude oil, combustion wands, extra prepper energy. The Cyclonopedia author flanked by the characters from his books swept by her laughing, saying, "Oil is ours as ever. Preppers invest in caves as bunkers underneath, full of lamplight, full of beef jerky." So short a sleep like a fainting spell. It felt like it didn't help, but then it sank in. She woke up thinking, my prepper investment is ecstasy. She felt relatively translucent, like when her teeth used to turn translucent after acid trips in high school. Her mind was loose and translucent, impressionable, mood ring. Her lips turned extra pink after ecstasy adventures in college and in other times of heightened feeling as she aged. Esther used to say her eyes turned extra green when she was feeling vulnerable, and brown when she seemed strong. What color are they now to you? Her first boyfriend to show her to herself like that, Esto, truly but from an angle otherwise hidden from her own view. Tyler had saw her and loved her and told her why, but his angle felt familiar, like reaffirming of her own self-image, close to her own pove. So many varieties of romance, reflections off certain surfaces, loves as pools. She was visited by the memory of the second-hand dream she remembered as the closest and shortest dream she had ever been close to. Not even her dream, but she clung to the memory of it, or the memory of it clung to her. That one starlet had, when they were driving back to Nebraska from the rave named another natural disaster outside Kansas City in 2001 to be. She was at the tail end of a strong candy flip and a night full of lightning, tornado warning. Starlet was driving. She was in the passenger seat, Ravekin snoozing in the back. The sun was fully up and they were almost home. She was in the passenger seat, determined not to fall asleep, to stay alert as her teamwork. Then, from behind the wheel, cruising down a Midwest one-lane highway, Starlet turned and said to her, "OMG, I just had a dream you were my cousin sitting there, all earnest and honest in a flutter, still driving, dreaming and driving, still safe on the road." Though fascinated and somewhat impressed, "Now it's time to let me drive," she said. No dreaming and driving. And they pulled over and she drove, the only one awake, focused on the road. She stirred from her dream and its reverb. She returned to her surroundings. On her left, on the edge of the next section, a backlit person stood in front of a projector screen. She watched them pull up a PowerPoint presentation, maybe Mac version or a free knockoff, something slideshow. Fade to empty, and then words emerge above them in impact font, like her MySpace page. Yes, it's reenactment camp. Come tell us about a memory that is inexplicably sticking with you, stuck to you, and let's enact it together anew and see what happens. Cube shatter transition screen into a graphic of butterflies and question marks and oversaturated pastels. She thought of all the memories stuck to her, which ones seemed the most inexplicably significant, the most quixotic in their sustained presence, like the ones with the highest personal meaningful to meaningless ratio. She thought about asking them to reenact 2011 era Forever 21 with her, but didn't go through with it. Too commercial, too mundane, she told herself, though she did hold her Forever 21 trips close to her heart. All the neon bras they offered up into her life, all the inspo she got from them, all the garments she imagined while there. She felt herself there again, deep fake retail memory palace, something sailor on the racks, must have been spring. She had an urge to ask for a reenactment, but shied away, feeling like she didn't want to, or maybe couldn't put it into words, to code into words that could then unfurl into its mock. Though maybe Forever 21 had its own grammar familiar to many. Now she was in Hollister, in Abercrombie, and Wet Seal in 2006. All the underwear well cut and on sale, she remembered how it arced across her cheeks, some flattering optical illusion. All 6 pairs she once had lost along the way. Mall memory wormhole, Gadzooks in Omaha, Sweet Factory and Zoomies in Clackamas. She held herself in reverie, a poetic space, lots of blankness, awash in waves of meaningless, meaningful memories, Spencer's gifts, a sky blue bikini she loved in her 20s. Her mind, a sea of personal talismans floating on the surface alone in entangled packages, and down in the darkest trenches where the heat bubbled up. She felt like Inside Out, and she remembered its moment about how abstraction worked, how violent it could be, how the characters struggled to make it through the abstraction room before they disappeared completely, or so the film implied. Words and their inevitable abstractions, the subterfuge of language, invisible bridges. Her inner monologues, all the ways she told herself and took herself. She remembered The Waves by Virginia Woolf, its intricate slowness, wanted her story to feel like that. It's poetic in that it draws on punctuation sparingly, asks of space to do that work. The space around her thrummed. She looked up, and there's Rilke on the razor. They met eyes with one another, and then she looked beyond them. In the near distance she saw there was someone. Caught her eye quietly, dressed in all wide whale corduroy, warm tones, wide whale burnt peach bikini, wide whale goldenrod thigh-high boots, umber visor, sand fanny pack, with a wagon more elaborate than hers, decorated with almost words, jumbo, magnetic, asemic poetry. They were pulling things out of their wagon, setting something up. An amp, a speaker, a mic, and a long chrome stand, maybe a generator, and to the side, a small sandwich board with plastic letters spelling out, second person poetry, you to you. She watched them as they connected the wires from one thing to another, attached all the dongles, tapped the mic. Boop. She listened as they began to speak. You are standing in an open field, here with you. You are standing in this field. You are floating in an open void, here with you. You are floating the void, 360 degrees, blank space, just for now. And for now, you are tumbling or something. The feeling of turning is becoming urgent and like a whisking. You feel like candy floss around the edge. That is a growing or building, webby populating. That is, run your simulation, use your imagination. You are ready. Start from scratch, or should you work backwards? You've seen Enter the Spider-Verse, right? So good. So good. What do you think? Is building a kind of unbuilding? Is cleaning a kind of hiding? What is tithing a kind of? You are listening. The person on the mic began to whisper. She felt like directly to her. You are doing something, and you are wondering what it symbolizes, what its synecdoche is. You are listening so you can hear. Your ghost spots seek wet patches, filler material, gelatinous, opalescent inclusions, something underground, something geocache. Find and replace, you find and you replace, and in that you see what happens, you see what changes. Small words only. Did you say words or worlds? You are getting very sleepy again and again. This in an exaggerated hypnotist tone, of course. They set the mic flat down on the salt flats and laid down around it, exaggerated cat's curl, sleepy kitty curl. She was not sure of how sleepy they really were, or fakely were. Fake is a subgenre of real, she thought. She sat down in her wagon and pulled her blanket around her. When she woke up, the sky was pink, dusty or maybe foggy, blurry air catching the pink light. Later on, she feels so stunned by something she thinks she might be dead, like inhabiting the afterlife. In the pink fog, she drops a pin. She drops many pins, connect the dots to make the shape of a face, like those runners who choose routes to trace shapes on their running app maps. A face traced by thin strings, like Carrie Altman's large paintings at the opening exhibition of American Medium in Midtown, 2011 or something. She remembered visiting that opening with Elizabeth Lamb, back when Eliz was working at the pizza place, hustling and determined, but relatively as yet unsung. She remembered Elizabeth Lamb on the couch at Schwartown in 2006, unsung in other ways, maybe more sung in others. The mesh camo nets strung above them, casting leafy shadows. Staging acrobatic group photos with everybody later, maybe that same cycle. In 2006, she was nearby but off-site in the essential, sensual, non-pencil stencil station, Colin fishing in the RV toilet for the vial of acid they had ditched during the cop raid their first night there. They had forgotten to hang the modesty curtain across the windshield before hitting the bong. I see it, he said, gleaming eyes, but he couldn't catch it, couldn't lift the vial, repurpose sweet breath from the depths. She wove the strings of her life around these little pins, little memories. She sat in the pink fog and watched people pass by on their trajectories, their lines of flight, their own quests maybe. Some outlandish art car shaped like a koosh ball far away in the pink blur, blasting pure moods. She ate some strawberries and relaced her sandals, remembered eating blueberries from a repurposed square glass Trader Joe's lemon curd jar with Holly Childs leaned up against the outside wall of 285 Kent. Fade to Mind party maybe. June 2012. Peak hot butte summer. How to move through the wide and boisterous world. Motion soup. The grammar of choices.